Here's my wrap up for the David Lemieux versus Curtis Stevens card at Turning Stone Casino on March 11th. Welcome to the DO Boxing Show. I'm your host, Dameon Okposio, and thanks for tuning in to another episode. In this episode, we're going to just do a basic wrap-up of the fight card that happened at Turning Stone Casino on Saturday, March the 11th. David Lemieux versus Curtis Stevens. If you check my prediction a couple episodes ago, you'll see that I was on the money with it. And if you check out the episode, I think it's 403, where I'm talking with David Lemieux's coach, you'll see that he was bang on with his analysis of basically their prep in the fight. So when it comes to the fight card, first of all, it was a collaborative promotion by Eye of the Tiger Management, Golden Boy Main Events. It was a great event. The venue, Turning Stone Casino, a great facility to go and watch fights. There isn't a bad seat in the house, whether you're on the ground floor or the upper level. I had floor seats this time, and I've sat on the sides, and I've been up on the second tier, and you know what? They're all great seats. Although I did like the fact that I was able to see the fighters coming out each time, this time around. Turning Stone Casino, fantastic facility. The restaurants there have great food, so it was a really enjoyable day. And I think that Golden Boy Main Events and Eye of the Tiger Management put on a classy event. It looks like it was well run. They had contingency plans for early knockouts, which is always tough to do when you have TV. You got to make sure that swing bouts are in place, that there's entertainment to keep the crowd entertained. The only critique that I would give them on the event was there was no merchandise really to be purchased, and that's one of those things where fans and collectors really enjoy. Either fight t-shirts, posters. You don't have to really go too much more crazy than that. So that was missing from this fight, but that's probably the only critique I would give. A lot of the fighters and the event staff were really gracious. I know you're watching this for the fight analysis, so we'll get down to the nuts and bolts of it. I'm not going to comment on every fight. I'm going to comment on 3 of the bouts. That's going to be Yves Ulysses from Quebec, and hopefully I said your name right. I'm going to comment on Gamboa, and then of course Curtis Stevens and David Lemieux. So the fight card was really, really good. There was a lot of great fighters on the fight card. On Saturday, Alex Rincon, Dameon Allen, sorry about that. Alex Rincon took on Sean Lee Henson. I should say both sides. Dameon Allen against Adam Mate. Todd Uthink May against Quinton Rankin. Demetrius Ballard had a difficult fight against Zoltan Serra. And when I say difficult, I don't mean that Demetrius Ballard had a difficult time, in so much as Zoltan Serra was a very difficult opponent in terms of his awkwardness and fighting style. But Demetrius Ballard was able to pull out the victory in that fight. Diego De La Hoya. Okay, so I lied. I'm going to talk about this fight. Diego De La Hoya versus Roberto Puceta. Again, apologize if I said that name wrong. Diego De La Hoya came into this fight 16-0. Very, very talented young man. Has a baby face, but all the boxing skills in the world. Can fight from the outside. Can counterpunch. Great footwork. Can punch on the inside. Punching power doesn't seem to be huge, but a lot of skill, a lot of grit, a lot of heart, It was a very entertaining fight. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to watching more fights involving Diego De La Hoya. So he's a good-looking prospect, and he can fight his butt off. So he had a really good fight and a good victory. So Eve Ulysses Jr., 12-0 coming in, fighting the undefeated Zachary Ochoa, who was 16-0. And, you know, both of these guys were fighting in each other, a step up, a good opponent. And, you know, it was a great fight to watch. Very cautious in the beginning. But as the fight wore on, you got to see that Ulysses Jr. had a little bit more quickness, a little better footwork. You know, he just edged him out, edged out Ochoa in class. And it's no knock on Ochoa, you know. The kid looked like he was in shape, trained hard, and did what he did, and does what he does. And if he had any lesser of an opponent in there, he would have pulled off the victory. But Ulysses Jr. showed his class, showed that he needs or deserves to be at the next step, and put on an impressive performance. So he is in the eye of the Tiger Management stable, I believe, and there's going to be a lot to look forward in that Canadian. Yuriorkis Gamboa fought Rene Alvarado. Yuriorkis Gamboa only one loss, but you know, he has been off for over a year, and I like the fight. Yuriorkis Gamboa fought like a cat, you know, like he normally does. Elusive, that Cuban style where they're, you know, on their toes, great footwork. His punches were sharp. His overall skills didn't look sharp in terms of Gamboa's activity and, you know, countering with combinations. But he did counter the punches. He looked very strong. And, you know, for a guy that's been off that long, it was a good victory. I would love to see him have a few more fights against guys maybe in the top 10 before trying to jump in there with like a Lomachenko, because Lomachenko's fighting regularly, and if we want to see the true potential of Gamboa in his hurricane style, you know, he needs to be active in order to get his timing and skills perfected, or not perfected, but up to the potential that he can be at. So Gamboa looked fantastic. He looked strong. He looked great for having been off as long as he has. And you know, he signed with De La Hoya now. Golden Boy Promotions. So looking forward to him being a little bit more active. He's a great fighter to watch, especially for people that like the artistry of boxing. For somebody to make you miss, hit you, stay right in your face. And Gamboa looked impressive, especially being the shorter with the reach disadvantage. It was a great performance for him and a good victory. In the main event, Curtis Stevens versus David Lemieux. I already talked about this fight in my prediction and how I thought it was going to play out. Both of these guys have extensive amateur careers. They're known as sluggers, but they do have boxing skills. You know, when we talked with Dave Ramsey, David Lemieux's trainer, you know, he said that they prepared for everything. A fast start, slow start, distance fight. And, you know, for the most part, David was in control from the opening bell. At one point, he did get caught by Curtis Stevens. And it just boiled down to these guys went to fight in the phone booth after the fight started, and David Lemieux landed a devastating hook, which ended the fight in the third round. So Curtis Stevens was okay, and at the end of the fight, you know, Curtis Stevens did an online post, you know, saying that he knocks out people, and he got knocked out, so he's okay, and we're all grateful for that. David Lemieux made a huge statement. David Lemieux's got a lot of power. So 37-3 with 33 knockouts. He's right in the mix for the elite fighters. And unlike Gamboa, it's not like he's he's had too much of a layoff. David Lemieux's been active, and I think he's right in the mix and ready for any of the top tier fighters. So it'd be interesting to see him against the winner of Golovkin and Jacobs, who are fighting on March the 18th. So the winner of that fight could be a candidate for David Lemieux. And there's also Canelo Alvarez. So David Lemieux's in the Golden Boy stable. So is Canelo Alvarez. That's a fight that could be made. And that would be a very interesting fight, especially if, Canelo Alvarez and Triple G doesn't get made. Not discarding that Chavez Jr. Is not going to win, because Chavez Jr. is a very live fighter for their upcoming fight. And Billy Joe Saunders is another top guy there. He's got a world title, but it seems like he's always having difficulty making negotiations, and I don't know if it's him or his camp. But Billy Joe Saunders, first of all, I don't think it's going to be economically attractive for the Lemieux camp. Although if they did fight in Montreal, I'm pretty sure that it would sell out the Bell Center. Billy Joe Saunders does have a WBO belt, which puts him in the mix and in the conversation. And he's a bit of a slick fighter that boxes. He's got good movement. I believe he's southpaw, but he can be hit. And if he gets hit by Lemieux, what's he going to do? So that could be an opportunity for Lemieux to pick up the WBO belt, and then that'll definitely put him within the sights of either Canelo Alvarez, Triple G, or Danny Jacobs, whichever one becomes available sooner and is looking to take on a threat like Lemieux. So he's got a bright future, a big payday coming up ahead. I'm sure he's going to rest a little bit before they even begin any negotiations of what's going to be next for David Lemieux. But it was a great fight. He put on a great, entertaining fight. I can't say enough good things about David Lemieux. He was very gracious before his fight to his fans, to me. His team was very open and accommodating. And, before fight time, that's a very intense time for fighters. People made, I heard some comments about David Lemieux's body looking soft, but, from the time I've seen him, from the time he began pro to tonight's fight, his body didn't look that different to me. Sometimes he's been more ripped, but he's a guy with natural power. He's displayed it since the amateurs, and that didn't play a factor in it. He made his weight. So it's not bodybuilding, it's boxing. And, under Mark Ramsey, David Lemieux has been looking very good, a little bit more versatile. And, it was great watching him. I can't wait for the next big fight David Lemieux's in. And hopefully I'll be able to be there. So thanks for tuning in to this episode. Thanks for listening to my breakdown of the fight card on March the 11th. It was fantastic. And looking forward to going to another show at Turning Stone Casino as well. Remember, you can ask us any questions related to boxing by sending us a message through Twitter at DOKPOSIO, through email okposio@hotmail.com, and don't forget to subscribe through YouTube. Go to Dameon Okposio to get every episode of the DO Boxing Show. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.